evening and treasure seekers. This is Blake coming to you live from New Mexico, and joining me as always from Washington State, it's Bryn and Cody. How's it going?
Cody did not get the memo that we're wearing black and yellow tonight. Very
coincidence of the
Pikachu
day.
of us.
Shimmering circles of gold, one might say.
Shimmering circles of gold. Nice. I like it. Well, I feel like I had my biggest, a big reveal in my Pokemon I should just say, treasure hunting journey this weekend.
Okay.
I think I finally realized that I have my biggest breakthroughs, and I'm going to use breakthroughs because to me, within the world of my solve, they are breakthroughs. When I'm thinking the least about the box.
Interesting.
It's like the harder I think, I don't know. Like I just need to take a step back, and when I'm not thinking about it, I feel like it just becomes like things click better. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but trying to find more opportunities to just let all my thoughts simmer in my brain without me overanalyzing.
Only interrupted once tonight, or this week, I guess, by a late night text from Bryn. Said she bolted awake last night with an idea about, I guess it was about the Pokemon box. So
the text just started. I just bolted awake.
Cody, any banter to report?
No, I'm good.
Banter with us, Cody.
Just
banter.
banter.
It's been a very, very long weekend.
No worries. No worries.
No, I'm good. Excited about this episode. Excited about all of Bryn's big finds recently.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good episode. So should we just dive right into news? Bryn, I think you're kicking us off with news tonight.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so unprepared. I was bantering and not getting my notes ready. Okay. We got so much news. It's unbelievable. We'll start out with we heard from a listener that from what we can tell, and Blake has verified to his best ability that the ebook has been discontinued. So maybe now that there's enough physical copies available and those are not being sold out anymore, the ebooks have been taken down. So I think that's pretty big news.
Yeah, that's huge news.
Yeah, it goes back to, originally Jon Collins-Black was not ever planning on releasing the ebooks. They were just there because the physical books were selling out and they couldn't get them out fast enough. And so I know as hunters, a lot of weight has been placed on how the ebooks were presented because it was divided up into the lion's share and then the 4 smaller boxes. And so there's so much speculation on what that meant as far as crossover between the content and the book being divided up this way. Also, the like summaries of the ebooks, speculation on how accurate those were, if there was any clues to glean from that. And so I think just the removal of the ebooks altogether almost feels like another big thing to have to consider.
Yeah, I'll admit my validation is a little bit late. I just tried to get a copy of the Apple books, and the links are still available. If you Google "There's Treasure Inside" ebook, Apple, you can still find the links, but they don't seem to load. And then the other one, the ebook that I have, is from the Baker and Taylor publishing group. You could still buy the hardcover book directly from the publisher, Baker and Taylor, but the ebook version doesn't seem to be there. I need to go back into the Calzar's Discord and find the old links to the direct ebook purchase to double check that. That's the one thing I haven't done yet, but that rumor seems to be true. I was not able to easily access an ebook version of There's Treasure Inside, so validated 80%.
All
Yeah,
right.
that feels like huge news just because I mean, it's one thing to not have an ebook, but to have it and then take it away, it's like there's very limited reasons for doing that, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could feel like for him, his vision was to have it be the physical book. And so it's like once the ebook was no longer needed, I could easily see it just taking away, gets back to his vision of what he's trying to create. Um, but I agree that there also could be another layer of like he saw some of the things that the ebook was, some issues that was being caused by the ebook.
Such as the hidden message I found.
The hidden message. Yeah.
Don't panic, everybody. It was just the very title page. It's like, I've hid millions of dollars in the United States. Like, that was somehow, there was original text in the background that I could find via text search of the ebook, but it was just a copy of what was in the actual text of the ebook as well. So it wasn't anything. It was a big horseshoe and hand grenade. But yeah, that was there, and that was exciting for a few minutes.
That was very exciting. It'll be interesting to see if he makes a statement about stopping the ebooks, because I know he's like he's said that he doesn't want to like give clues. But it seems statement worthy if you're going to pull the ebooks, and it seems like wouldn't be a clue to just be like, hey, my vision was supposed to be a hard copy book. We've got more hard copy books now in stock, so I'm pulling the ebook. I feel like that I'd almost expect to see something like that.
Yeah, I doubt it. Maybe we'll see. I'm less than 50% chance, just because like he hasn't really kept up the website very much in terms of errors and things like that. It seemed like he did 1 or 2 rounds, and then the ebook that I have seems to have a lot more corrections than what's mentioned on Treasure Inside website. So him opening that can of worms again, I feel like he can just ignore it and have that disappear, and rather than bring it up again and have people complain, including myself. So cool.
It'll be interesting. Sorry, Bryn. It'll be interesting. You know, he said after a box is found, he's gonna, release the correct solve, the solution to it. It'll be interesting if at that point, I guess maybe after all 5 boxes are found, if he does some more in-depth interviews on kind of some of these like little nagging questions. Like I'm sure this isn't something that would be addressed in the solve, but I'd still like to know 10 years from now, little things like this, what was going through his head.
Yes, a debrief more satisfying than Forrest Fenn, I think, is on everybody's minds in a lot of ways.
So he doesn't have time to be updating the website or be providing communication about these updates because his social media has been popping. News bit number 2 this week is we have received 2 Jon Collins-Black social media posts since our last episode, which is pretty big for him. So they're doing their younger demographic push at the moment. The first one is he released this fun little ditty song, I believe a play on Bruno Mars' Treasure, with a singer-songwriter, and they're just kind of doing a little song about the treasure, and then it gets absolutely unhinged, and somebody with a mask pops in frame, pretends to tase Jon Collins-Black, and he's tied up in a basement, and they're demanding clues from him. I will say one of the more alarming Instagram posts that I have seen in a long time. I did not see that coming.
This is on Instagram.
Either one of you have? Yeah, it was on Instagram. It's probably on TikTok. I don't know. I'm not cool enough to be on TikTok, so it's probably on other things. But I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah. I saw it when Bridge said, "Oh my god, you have to watch this," and ran over to me and showed it to me.
I don't know. It seems in poor taste is the wrong terminology, I think, but it's a little surprising that, especially immediately after the release of Gold and Greed, where we see some of the problems associated with like attempted kidnappings and people come into your house as Forrest Fenn, or Forrest Fenn's family, like making light of that situation is a little odd in my mind.
Yeah, I was also very surprised by that approach. I don't think there was any ill intent behind it, but
No,
it did
no,
seem
definitely not.
it seemed like a choice.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice for sure. So yeah, check that out. If you're not following Jon Collins-Black's social media, I think it's useful. I know, Bryn, you had mentioned the pictures he posted visiting a Pokemon store a couple weeks ago. So you never know, there might be little tidbits, and certainly if a box is found, that's going to be one of the first places you're probably going to hear about it. So recommend that follow on social media if you want to get involved in social media. And then also a recommendation, make sure you sign up for Jon Collins-Black's email list directly on treasureinside.com as well.
Yes.
I think that's going to be kind of the places you can get official news.
Definitely. The other post that he had over the weekend was he hid a signed copy in Nashville, Tennessee. It seems like it has since been found. So it was a quick hide and find. Maybe the next day. I guess we don't know how long the book was hiding before he released the post that he had hidden it. But that was really fun. So the first solved Jon Collins-Black hunt was that the book was located in Nashville.
I don't think this is actually the first time he's done that. I think there was a Barnes and Noble related promotion that he did where he hit a book as well. And I was following that on Calazar's. That was at least, I think, probably in the January timeframe. It might have even been December. But yeah, it's the first time in a while that he's done some promotion like this.
I was thinking it sounded familiar, but then I went back through and I couldn't find it on Instagram. So it makes sense that it would have been something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we can see more content like that in the future, because that was fun just to have a little mini puzzle to solve. What is my other news? Let's see.
American Treasure podcast.
Yes, the episode 5 of the American Treasure podcast was released, and this was an interview primarily with Justin Posey from Golden Greed, the Netflix Forrest Fenn documentary. So we are not following that hunt, but
Beyond
it was interesting to listen to. Beyond the Map's Edge. A good listen, and he does integrate Jon Collins-Black, there's Treasure Inside content into it. So basically his approach for this episode was him being, oh my gosh, Dave? Dave is his name.
Dave, yeah.
His approach for this episode was like interesting that within very short time span, both of these treasure hunts have come out very much in the wake of the Forrest Fenn hunt, and both integrating treasure from the Forrest Fenn hunt. So he wanted to compare and contrast the two hunts in a few different ways. So a very interesting listen, as I think all of his episodes are, or all of his episodes are. So I would recommend if you haven't listened.
The American Treasure podcast. I was able to find it on Apple Podcasts is where I was able to locate it. I don't know exactly where else it is. But certainly if you go down Apple Podcasts, you can find it there, American Treasure Podcast, and subscribe. Yeah, there's a few good nuggets in there. I definitely also recommend to listen to that. A quote from Jon Collins-Black, and again, noting that this is historical conversations that Dave and Jon had in the 2021-2022 timeframe, where it's unclear if boxes have been hidden at this point, how developed solves are, and things like that. But Jon Collins-Black says he wants the whole book to be the solve, instead of a poem like we saw with the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. So anyway, I think there's a few tidbits you can pick up on in the sound bites that you get from that podcast.
Last bit of news, also a podcast recommendation. So I would recommend there's Treasure Inside Edition, which first of all, elite podcast name. I really like that one. I think it's funny. So I guess I don't know which episode number this was, but um, in the title you would see something along the lines of Stone Cold Nuts.
So
So
it's
they
So
interview
episode 19.
episode 19.
19, thank you.
19 tray.
19
19
Trey.
pod.
So in this episode, they interview Rob, whose online name is Stone Cold Nuts. That's where Stone Cold Nuts comes in. And he reviews his FF theory for the missing page 90. Um, I'm gonna go through some of like the very high level highlights of this because as I was listening, this Rob is a good storyteller, and I was on the edge of my seat as he was baiting us through this solve, and I think it's very interesting. And I recommend people listen to it, if nothing else, to get a good creative alternative take on an approach to the book, because it was just very refreshing to hear, I guess, just a different creative approach. So I'll walk through a bit of what Rob's approach was here for the missing page 90. So Rob says that page 90 is a representation that we should be looking for what's missing in the book. It's not something necessarily like we need to be looking with a UV light or we need to try to figure out what happened to page 90, but rather it's just a representation that maybe some things have been intentionally left out, and those could be clues. And so that was in chapter 9, right? The missing page 90, chapter 9. So then he says immediately after that in chapter 10, that is the Jackie Onassis brooch chapter, he references Jack Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. So you would say JFK, RFK. So he's arguing that Jon Collins-Black intentionally left out the F, the two F middle names. And so he kind of then says like he adds in like, oh, then you get FF from for a little nod to Forrest Fenn too. So intentionally leaving out the middle name F, and so Jack's middle name was Fitzgerald, Robert's middle name was Francis. So if you put those together, you get Francis Fitzgerald, which then if you look up like famous people by that name, you could get Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald, which the pen name F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote the Great Gatsby. So I thought that was a pretty good string of connections to get to this point. And again, like I'm not doing it justice. You should go listen to the episode and he will walk you through in much more detail, like his thought process to get here. I just want to give the high level. And okay, so we have Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald. And then he brings up the picture of the lion share box. And he's like, if you look at the lion share box, there's a keyhole on the front, which would indicate we need a key to get into this box, which I have never considered. Like that blew my mind. To me, I'm like, these are just puzzle boxes and there's going to be mechanisms. I know he kind of speaks to, different ways to, reveal these puzzle boxes, but a key is something that I've never considered. And he also says like it could be something aesthetic. Yes, Cody.
I thought I could be making this up, and I hate to say it without verifying it first, but I thought when I watched the video of Coffer, which was the like Seth Gould's big box thing, one of like part of figuring out how to get into it, there were like secret compartments that opened up, and then there were keys within that. So that's something that could be in the lion shares box is, you just start with like shifting panels, but then you open up and then get a key that you don't necessarily need to bring along with you from somewhere else. I think I saw that with Coffer with one of the other boxes, but I'll have to verify that.
That would be, that would be very good to verify because that would make a lot of sense. It would be very cool theatrics if you are the one to find the lion share box and you like open a little window and reveal a key. Anyways, so he was talking about the keyhole need for a key, and so he then said like, is Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald our key to the book? And so then he elaborately goes through all the Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald themes and ways that this name and this person and the connections can unlock different themes in the book, which is incredible. I mean, there's a lot of great connections that he's made, and could be coincidence, of course, but I just think listening to his thought process is very refreshing, and I just think it could be very valuable to anybody participating in the hunt. So I don't know, Blake, you said you might try to listen. Did you have a chance?
I did. Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. I'll agree with you that it's a good different perspective that haven't really considered it. Taking the missing page 90 at a little bit higher level of that there is information missing that you need to identify in the book as the clue is interesting. I don't know if I like that as much as making it something more hard, like, latitude 90 or something like that I like a little bit more. But anyway, as I've mentioned before, with all the solves, we're getting in here and talking about and sharing on the podcast, it's like, it never hurts, in my mind, it never hurts to hear a different perspective. Certainly it could be a little bit overwhelming with, is that really a path you want to pursue? Because you can't go down all of the paths, but I don't know, just different perspectives are always helpful. I'll echo that every time.
I did think it was kind of cool that, I mean, as Cody would say, missing page 90 is like the one thing we can for sure be like, that is a clue. And it's, I mean, I feel like probably the most obvious clue. I mean, that's undeniable. And so it is interesting to take something that's like, this is one hard piece of evidence as a clue. So something that obvious, to have that big of a reach throughout the book kind of makes sense. So anyways, I have nothing else to say.
All right. Yeah, check it out. Yeah, I think we have some mailbags from Stone Cold Nuts to go through at some point as well. Not this episode, but that are independent.
I have one.
Oh, you do? Okay. That are independent of the interview he gave on There's Treasure Inside edition. So anyway, more content from Stone Cold Nuts, hopefully in the near future from us. Cool. Should we dive into Horseshoes and Hand Grenades for today? All right. So I've been doing a little bit of work supporting Bryn on the Pokemon box, since that's her baby. And talking about mirrors. Oh, you got a nice Froakie figurine here. Where did you get that?
Cody got me some Froakie Greninja action figures.
Nice. Nice toys.
Some good luck charms at my desk.
Okay. Help you focus on the mission here. Yeah, so I've been looking at mirrors now. I'm very interested in that. Bryn, you've talked about using the rounded mirror and placing it on the image at the end of the Pokemon box chapter. You found, one interesting image out of that. My approach was just to use a straight edged mirror, and this is mainly because of the Alice's looking glass. Alice is through the looking glass. Kirk's wardrobe quote in the Pokemon chapter, and so a looking glass is a mirror. And so I am a little bit obsessed right now with figuring out how we can use a mirror in the Pokemon chapter, either literally or physically, or as a metaphor for something, or thinking about mirror images of words in the chapter. Anyway, I like this connection very much. And so I've been using a mirror and trying to get images out of that Pokemon image, just because it's, in my mind, still a bit unsatisfying that nobody at least has publicly released anything that seems like a great use of that image other than finding the Mew. And why is that Mew pointing?
The Mewtwo.
the Mewtwo and what's it pointing to. Because that's kind of the only high resolution part of that image. The image is certainly manipulated. It's from an expanded reality. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out how to make use of that. So I will pull up some of my imagery here.
Ooh, I'm so happy that I've pulled you into my madness. Welcome to the Pokemon box.
Thanks. All right. So I have 5 images here of various satisfaction. The first one here is, again, it's a mirror lined up in no particular way associated with the Mewtwo finger. I think there's got to be something associated with the Mewtwo finger pointing, and I'm still investigating it. But I'm pulling out some of my first finds here that seem interesting. When you line up the mirror in this way, and take this all with a grain of salt, the mirror is going to be pulling out images that are very Rorschach testy, I would say. So it's all up to interpretation. There's not like a dead giveaway yet that's like solid in my mind. But this one's kind of interesting because it kind of looks like a Pikachu face, I would say. Or a Pichu. Is kind of what I think you pointed out, Bryn, or Cody. I can't remember who. But it's right above the What's the second evolution of Charmander, Cody? Charmeleon. So right above the Charmeleon is where I'm getting this image. But certainly the ears of the Pichu/Pikachu that have those black accents might make this seem reasonable. Again, what you do with that, I don't know, but that's one of my findings.
I'm seeing something else here that's now piquing my interest.
Okay.
At the very top in the darker purple, does that not look like a lion?
Oh yeah, it could look like a lion. So that's confirmed as a lion's share clue now. Very good.
Well, if you had the lion, the witch, in the wardrobe.
Okay, lion, the witch, and wardrobe. I like that. No, I didn't pick up on that, but this is why I don't know, hoping to pique the interest of the audience potentially, because I feel like there's almost infinite ways that you can line up this mirror. And yeah, I did not pick up on that particular imagery. And again, it's a Rorschach test, so you're going to see things and they're going to seem more reasonable because they're symmetrical rather than non-symmetrical, as in the regular image in the Pokemon chapter. So I like that. I mean, that is more higher resolution than things I'm pointing out here, I would say, almost. So I like that. We'll get another look at, here's another different angle of that Pichu/Pikachu, kind of upside down. It doesn't look like I have the lion's faces clearly in this one. We'll look at a couple other ones. I don't know. It looked better in person, I think, but anyway, kind of looks like arms maybe and a head and legs. That one's not so great.
That previous one.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a hint of Pheromosa in that.
So I've been thinking Pheromosa as well, and maybe there's one that, and maybe that's why I picked out this picture. Was it Pheromosa Lake? But I like that approach. I don't know. This certainly looks kind of face-like. You can slide the mirror and get rid of this horn or not. And then this kind of looked like almost like a bat to me. But certainly there's shadows and things that you can identify as eyes potentially. This is kind of the eye of that frog that maybe Cody doesn't believe is in there, but I think is in there. But
that one certainly seems more high detail than some of the other ones.
Right. So anyway, I feel like if we get more people on this, there might be a better chance of finding a clue in there. So if anybody wants to give it a try, I think it's pretty interesting. A good creative effort that you can do in the car is how I was doing this. So not while driving, obviously, but
good disclaimer.
Just at stoplights.
Anyway, so I certainly think there's some interesting things that I'm pulling out of this, and I really like the connection to the looking glass. Open to thoughts and comments.
You mentioned that you feel like there's something that that Mewtwo's finger has to be tied in somehow.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what happens if you put the mirror right on Mewtwo's finger, so it's like he's touching the other side, the other plane, and you could rotate around that and see if anything shows up.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be the most like logical reason for placing the mirror in a certain spot.
Yeah, I've tried that. I haven't really come up with anything. I think it's worth another effort. I've also tried aligning the mirror in line with Mew's finger, and then sliding the mirror perpendicular to Mew's finger out to see what he's pointing at.
Okay, so you've already tried all this.
I've tried those things and nothing solid, but that's just one person looking at it. Obviously, I missed that lion's face that Bryn just found. Anyway, so I think it's worth additional effort on this, and I will be happy to do that. But if other people also want to join in the fun, be happy to. We can have a photo contest of the best image that somebody come up with from a mirror approach.
Nice.
That'd be funny.
I like it. I will say, when you look at that picture very closely, you can also see, and I don't know if this is supposed to be something we pick up on or if it's just a method to the manipulation of the photo, but there's certain, I don't know if I can call them squares, but there's certain areas of overlay that have a pixelated dot texture. You can kind of catch some of the lines, like a clean line of where that texture stops and starts. And so that's kind of, I guess, my only other thought of is that a place that would make sense to try to get a reflection? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because I don't think at any point you're going to do a reflection. It's going to be oh, wow, that 100% makes sense. So you don't know.
I'm hoping the opposite, that there will be something very clear that pops out. That's that has to be something.
Yeah,
the Mew, right? I just want a Mew to show up.
Yeah, so a Mew, I think, is one of the top things that I'm looking for, certainly in these images, is trying to pick out a Mew. So that makes sense to me, as it's not explicitly mentioned in the Pokemon chapter that it's a Mew, but he does say that it's the elusive 150th Pokemon that people look for. 151st. And anyway, still a lot to be uncovered, I think, with the Pokemon box.
My other thought with the pointing. So since we have Mewtwo pointing in that purple image, and we have Froakie pointing on the previous spread, they both are kind of pointing to an intersection, which happens to be the picture of the green Fabergé frog.
Okay.
So I don't know if the pointing is maybe just telling us that we need to be paying more attention to the green Fabergé frog. For what? I'm not sure. I've looked at that very closely. Okay. So again, we have an odd ripped edge, but we see ripped edges throughout the book. So that was just another one of my thoughts on what that pointing could mean. I don't know if I would be super happy if that's what that meant, because I feel like the picture's already pretty prominent. I don't know if we need to draw additional attention to it. So I don't know.
But maybe they intersect on, I don't know, a point or something. Maybe on the map's edge.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess I haven't taken it as far as to actually find where they would intersect.
Or they converge. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if they even do. But just generally, they both are kind of leading to the green Fabergé frog.
All right. Any other comments about mirror images or the Pokemon box?
Thank you for helping me with Pokemon box.
No problem. I need a break from past and future, I think. So happy to have a diversion for a bit. So let's see if I can provide any semblance of help to you. Mailbag is next.
Mailbag. We've got mail.
Bryn, you're covering mailbag tonight.
I've got a few goodies from the mailbag. First, just to toot my own horn a little bit here. Maybe last episode or a couple episodes ago, I was talking about how it seems like there's really a strong connection between circles, like almost a circle theme aspect between each one of the part 2 boxes. And I think you two were telling me that it was weak in the Appalachian Footpath box because we were just saying it had like a circle on the back of the coin.
Right.
And I remember saying, well, there's more, and I couldn't figure out what it was at the moment. And somebody wrote in and said that he talks about, and I didn't even write down the full quote here, but in the text, he talks about like the story, the hunt, as something coming full circle again. So that was in the body copy of that chapter. So I just want to put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
is
I know
that right at the end of the book? Or is that the connection we made that he made a treasure map for an Appalachian Trail box, and the first thing he talks about is in the whole book, chapter 1, first thing he talks about is his son making a treasure map. So, but you're right. There is a quote, full circle, quote unquote, in there. You're absolutely right. That's a good poll. So
I just wanted to put that out there. Okay. Get my stamp on it if that becomes part of a solve.
Okay, very good.
Who likes the mailbag today?
Let's hear what you got. Let's hear what else you got.
These are all the fan favorites. Okay, so the second one is from Nature's Mistake. They wrote in about a past and future box coin theory. So I think I would like you to pull up the picture here, Blake. I think that's going to be what makes most sense. So they were reading Ready Player 2. And within Ready Player 2. So again, Ready Player 1 is what's mentioned in the past and future box chapter. So they were reading Ready Player 2. And you can see here there's an interesting symbol, like a circle and almost like a 7 that kind of looks like it could be similar to what we see happening on the different coins. So it's also interesting, like some of the copy that you can read under this talks about, like discussion of how it's a mysterious symbol, looks like a 7 or hands on a clock. Anyways, I don't have too much more to add to that necessarily, but just the visual of this alone seemed particularly interesting since it is coming directly out of Ready Player 2.
Yeah, so that looks like it's on page 254 of whatever version of Ready Player 2 has some symbology here, one of which looks like the pattern of the coins, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it even has that like little circle almost in the orbit of the circle, of the greater circle.
Yeah.
So.
Looks like
Did they write and say what it ended up being in the book?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
So we got a new thing on my reading list now, Ready Player 2. I've avoided it because I think it might be distracting, but this was quite interesting, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been a couple other Ready Player 2 connections that this listener has also mentioned. So it does sound like it would be worth the time, but only after you've helped me with Pokemon Box.
Okay, fine.
Okay, next up in the mailbag, we are going to circle back to Rob, who had the missing page 90 theory that we talked about before. So Rob, again, I think this is just a great example of creative thinking. So I think it's worth highlighting to hopefully prompt some other ideas for people. So Rob has a theory about the dust jacket haiku and why it is not a haiku. So again, why can't I think of the word?
Syllables.
The syllables, thank you. The syllables were not exactly a haiku. So he says a haiku has 54 letters. Oh, sorry, the haiku has 54 letters, and a Rubik's Cube also has 54 squares. So in chapter 7, one of the quotes is, "If you're curious, you'll find the puzzles around you. If you're determined, you will solve them." That was the quote from Erno Rubik. The haiku is not a perfect haiku in order to draw our attention that it needs further investigation. And he says, and here's his theory that Jon Collins-Black was looking to fit 54 letters specifically onto a Rubik's Cube. So then he references Joy's Serenade. Use Will's straight edge as the turning square or any arc may align to the proper point. And the other quote here, because the haiku curls on a little further where few have seen it. So he believes that there's a secret message hidden within these letters selected to create the haiku. So obviously the main thing here being the 54, 54, the turning square, and then we have the Rubik's quote.
The turning square I like a lot, because I have not found good references to what a turning square is, and it actually makes quite a bit of sense that would be a Rubik's Cube.
Rubik's Cube. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I guess outside of like this take alone, that could very well be what the reference is.
Interesting.
Yeah. I like a lot of the different aspects of what you just said there. It's also very interesting. It kind of ties in really well with what you said at the beginning of the episode with the other idea of like the missing page 90 and like possibly JCB specifically drawing your attention to specific areas in the book by omitting things that should obviously be there, like a 90 or like another word in a haiku or like a middle initial of a famous person who always has their middle initial as part of their name. Kind of those two kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, I just think both are good examples of a new way to be thinking through things. But yeah, I thought specifically that turning square was very good, since we do have the Rubik quote. I mean, even if we didn't have the Rubik quote, I'd be like, well, that's kind of cool, especially since if we thought that maybe this tied in, that stanza of Joy's Serenade could tie in with past and future. I mean, Rubik's Cube feels pretty nostalgic of the 80s. So that could be appropriate with that chapter if we're taking that approach with Joy's Serenade. So that's obviously venturing potentially from what this is, but yeah, food for thought.
Yeah, it's interesting that those two lines, Will's straight edge, might, reference Occam's razor, which is another quote in the book, and then immediately after the turning square. So I guess it's probably worth the exercise, and I'm happy to take it on to try to understand if other lines in the Joy's Serenade associate with other quotes from the beginnings of chapters as well. Just pull on that thread a little bit more. That's super, super interesting.
The deeper that we get into the book and the solves, I feel like the more important I feel like these quotes become, which is overwhelming. I mean, it's all overwhelming when you consider the book as a whole, but like at face value, as we're going through, it's like, oh, these are just nice quotes that fit the themes of the chapters. I guess we could assume there's probably more to them, and now it's like it feels like there's a lot of weight on the quotes.
Right. Should we dive into Discord detectives? Oh no. Broken. Cody.
All right, Discord detectives. This one comes from the Reddit, r/treasure inside, by user dash not 4 but 242 walk dash.
Nice.
Clever username there.
I guess I don't understand it. But
you don't understand it?
Say it again. Too far to walk, you said?
There's numbers in it though. So not 4, but 2, 4, 2, walk.
Oh,
Like
wow.
not far,
Okay.
but too far to walk.
Okay, fair.
Oh yeah. It's a very highbrow username. It takes a minute to sink in. So they had a post titled "The Cryptogram Opening Lines: 1, 2, or 4 Distinct Waypoints." And I really like this post. It felt very refreshing to me. First off,
There's been a lot of
it's been a lot of posts I've seen that have just been like kind of frustrating to me. Okay. And this one was very like collaborative, not having any answers, asking like a good question, trying to like collaborate with the community. And I really appreciated that. I think that's a lot of what we're trying to do here. So yeah, it caught my eye, and I also thought it was a really good question. And I like one of the potential options that they came up with that they were asking the community about. I really like, and I had not thought about. So if you want to pull up, what did I title as the first one of whatever I titled S1.
Yep.
So the question that they kind of posed to the community is, we've got that cryptogram solved in the past and future box that says, oh gosh, I should have it memorized by now, but from I know, help me out here. From
rock to field.
From rock to field.
To strong
to stream. Strong to stream.
From strong to stream. That's it. Rock to field and strong to stream. So in this post, they pose the question, basically, how many waypoints do you think that this could be? Would it be 1, 2, or 4? So we can kind of scroll through their pictures that they posted here. For scenario 1, it'd be 4 kind of distinct landmarks. They're saying that potentially like form an X, and then you look in the center of that X, I guess.
Interesting.
But I mean, a more high level is just, is it 4 different things? Kind of very face value: rock, field, strong, stream. If you open up S2, this is the one that really caught my eye, because I hadn't thought of this. And I think it's just, we're big theme people, and it's just so on theme of past and future, which is 2 features where one like was a rock and is now a field, and then one that was a strong and is now a stream. And I really, like I said, I really like that one. I hadn't thought of it. It feels very on theme, and it ties in some other stuff like they mentioned there, like quarry, right? But I guess I don't really know what more to say about it, other than I really like that idea.
Yeah.
And then if you open up S3, this is another one where this is what they're calling scenario 3, where it would all be kind of one thing. In this image that they've drawn here, they're kind of showing like one river feature that would kind of connect all of go from a rock through a field, through a strong stream, all in kind of one feature that you're following.
Okay.
So again, I really liked the way that the question was posed and how collaborative it was. Felt very refreshing after being on the Reddit for a little while. And then I got really liked the idea of scenario 2. Because it just, for all of the reasons that I've already said.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know from you guys if one of those stands out to you. I know for me, when I was looking into it, I never even thought of scenario 2 and scenario 3, which is why I love it when people post stuff like this, because it kind of opens my eyes to different perspectives. I was definitely looking for 4 distinct things.
Yeah.
So what I guess, what do you guys think, and then what do you think of kind of the whole idea as a whole?
Yeah, I've always thought of the cryptogram as kind of a linear path for boots on the ground, right? From rock to field, from strong to stream would tell you you're on the right path physically. So I think I was also a scenario 1 person. I also hadn't thought about just making an X of maybe those landmarks, right? or another shape, or even taking them at a different value. So this is already very helpful. But yeah, scenario 2, which is 2 distinct landmarks or features with a past and future element. I think we all like tying it into the theme, which is super cool.
Big
I like
theme
that.
people.
Yes, big theme people. And then 3, it's just one feature that you can use all 4 descriptors for to tell you large location potentially, or even a specific location. I'm in the exact same boat you are, Cody, that this is very enlightening in some ways.
Yeah, it's funny because there's arguments that could be made for why each of those three scenarios would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like scenario 3 would make sense because it's at the very end. It's kind of, I always assumed, a very boots on the ground thing. You're kind of right in that area. It might just be like one feature that you're looking for, or like following those things along that kind of final path.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like I said, scenario 2 fits the theme much better. Scenario 1, actually, now that you mention it, I kind of breezed over the X thing because I've heard other similar X ideas with like 4 different clues and then like draw the X between them and then find the center point. And I've kind of dismissed them for various different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm thinking more about this one, the phrasing of the cryptogram itself, with the from rock to field, from strong to stream, the phrasing does kind of lend itself to the X idea more than a lot of kind of these other ones. It's like, oh, hey, I just have 4 points I got from clues and I'm going to just draw an X on them randomly.
Mm-hmm. Arrive you where beauty sheens, from rock to field, from strong to stream.
Does any of this? I'm pretty far out of the past and future box right now, but like, could this be telling us, if you're taking this X idea, to connect certain components within the word search? Like if rock was sapphire, from rock, like what would be strong in the word search? Like, are we supposed to be, how you would connect those words, I don't know. Like, is there a way to then use the O's in the word search as like our connecting dots from one thing to another using the cryptogram?
That's an interesting idea as well. Quarry, sapphire, peak, water. I'd have to get my list out of other words.
Yeah.
The phrasing is
stream
after the word search has, like, he says, once you've completed the word search, you'll have most of what you need.
Yeah.
And then
the cryptogram.
And then the cryptogram. But that is also a very good idea. Let me think about that a bit more.
The most of what you need, or whatever that phrase specifically was, drives me crazy. Like, what is it? What? Clues? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
So you're a Pokemon box person.
I don't know.
Once you have finished our word search, you will have plenty of what you need to find this treasure box. You don't like the plenty part?
What of what? Tell me what. I think it has to be
of
huge.
What you need.
Figuring that must be important, obviously.
But in case you still aren't convinced and want even more help, you're in luck. Because while you were searching for words, I happened to remember a second game, also inspired from my boyhood memories. ... grandparents ... lawn chair ... heavens ... counting traffic, and then the cryptogram. I have created a cryptogram for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess because of like kind of just the bonus aspect of this, I've always just taken it very much as like additional help, boots on the ground. But I guess I'm maybe thinking now that it could just be more of an initial help get you to the right spot rather than once you're already there.
Yeah, I guess the phrasing of you should have what you need with the word search, but if you still can't find it, here's more clues. That should mean, hey, we're talking about the same stuff we were talking about in the word search, not hey, you understand the word search and you got there and here's a little bit of added information for once your boots on the ground.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Bryn.
Both in play.
Both in play.
Somebody just solved the O's already.
Somebody solved the E's for me.
Yeah. Somebody solve Excel for me.
I get so antsy. Like I want to know what a solve is. But then I think about once they're all solved, like it's gonna be kind of a bummer. Like I don't want to. I'm trying to be patient and enjoy the process, the joys in the journey. Because once they're all solved, it's kind of a bummer.
We want one solved, but we want to pick which one it is, the one that we don't want to work on.
And we would like to. Is it too much to ask that we solve it? And we then can figure it. Yeah, I don't know.
We'd like to accidentally find one and then have JCB explain what the solve was.
All right. Anything else? That was super helpful. Thank you, Cody. That's a great find.
That was really good.
All right.
Don't thank me. Thank 4, but not too 4 to walk.
4, but not too 4 to walk. Let's do coincidence of the day. Cody, you are also on coincidence of the day. I'm excited.
I am. This coincidence of the day actually came up yesterday.
Oh.
We were also on stream talking through some other stuff.
We were not on stream. It was a private Zoom conversation. Yes.
Sorry, not on stream. I don't know what the different tech words mean. Not stream, on Zoom.
Yes.
On the video internet.
Moving picture.
Moving pictures.
All right. So we were talking about different coins and stuff, and I think that having someone verbally describe the coin to me kind of sparked something in my mind instead of me just like looking at it on a picture.
Huh.
Because we were talking about the past and future coin and how it was 135 degrees, and I had like looked at it a million times. But I think like you repetitively, Blake, I think you were saying it repetitively, saying 135 degrees, sparked the idea of my mind of looking up the hottest temperature that's ever been in the US.
Oh.
Because it felt like it was right in that ballpark.
Oh, wow.
And it turns out it was 134.1.
Huh.
Which feels like I'd have to like do my own measurements on the past and future coin, but it definitely feels like very right in that area.
Yeah.
Like it within the tolerances of what you're printing on the paper there. And also would be like super clever. Like that's one of the things I kind of filter the coin ideas through is like, I feel like it's got to be something that feels pretty clever after the fact. And to have had like a coin that's 135 degrees and come back after be like, oh, it's 135 degree angle because it's in 130, like where the highest recorded temperature of, or, 134.1 degree angle. It just seems super clever to me.
Right.
So I did a little bit of looking into it. So it was in Death Valley, California, which I think a lot of people probably know. Interesting because people have been, speculating on California for a number of reasons. So we already had that. There's this one area in Death Valley, California, that's like obviously very man-made, but is like all green and luscious, which kind of plays into the idea of oasis.
Oasis.
I think.
Nice.
Feels very oasis-y and like this very giant desert area. Star Wars was filmed there. I thought that was interesting because that's a tie into kind of like the classic movies and video games of the era.
Okay.
And then before it was designated national park, there's a ton of gold mining there. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then the area I was kind of Google Maps searching real quick was called Golden Canyon.
Okay.
So anyway, I did a little bit of searching. I think ultimately I don't think there's any way it's there because I just don't think there's really anywhere to hide it. It's just so barren, other than that oasis-y area, which I think is just not big enough to hide it without someone potentially finding it. Yeah, I guess it's a long-winded way of saying ultimately, I think it's kind of a cool coincidence that the angle on the coin, where a lot of people think it may be California, matches within a couple tenths the highest recorded temperature, also in California. Would have been really clever if it's right. I don't think it is. Coincidence of the day.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you didn't find other connections to a lot of the word search words, which is what I'd be looking for next, I suppose.
No, I did basically the overview, which is where I came up with those like few things that gave it a little bit of, I don't know what the word is. But just in like the Google Map searching and like pictures from trailheads or pictures from like hikers on the trail, I can just tell. It's not where I'm picturing a treasure being hidden. It just feels a little too barren. It'd have to be like just behind a rock in a desert. I don't know. I guess it could be, but
I was thinking Jon Collins-Black warns us against the cold and the snow, right? I think he also mentioned something about heat and making sure you're bringing water, but I don't know if that water was related to heat or just hiking generally. So
it wasn't. I looked that up because one of the things I found when I was doing my high level search was like this big sign that had like a recommendation for water.
Okay.
And it jumped out to me because I thought it was like copy and paste the exact terminology he used, but it was not.
It was not.
There is saying like, yeah, I got really excited about that for a second. But yeah, the thing was saying like bring 1 gallon of water per person per day. Okay. One of the books said that, and one was like a liter per hour or something like that. So they were different. I don't think that the quote in the book was directly related to heat. It was more just related to water.
Yeah. Please do not.
I guess.
Oh, go ahead, Bryn.
I was just gonna say, based on his very overt. He's just very obvious about like he doesn't want things to be dangerous. Do we really think he'd be sending people to Death Valley?
Seems dangerous.
I would probably just say no.
Yeah. Always take. Do not search in areas during times of year where there is high heat or humidity, especially if there is no shade. Always take plenty of food and water with you. As a rule, you should take a liter of water for every 2 hours you plan to hike, and more if the temperature is high. All right. Interesting. That's an interesting coincidence for sure. So yeah, I ping it back to me is start thinking about the other degrees and angles, and think about not only the acute angles, but maybe the obtuse angles associated with those as well. And I've not done a lot of research into seeing measurements on those coins. I think they exist probably in the Discord, so I'll take a look. But yeah, that's a good change of perspective, Cody. Nice.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that feels like it would be really satisfying if that was the answer.
And the answer to one of the coins. It's not applicable to all of the coins.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool. I think that's an episode. Any parting thoughts? All right.
I don't think so.
I
felt like we had lots of goodies in that episode.
Yeah, it's good. Good variety of content, at least across the past and future box and Pokemon. Sorry, everybody that's working on Appalachian Trail. No. But you did have a little nugget for Appalachian Trail Full Circle.
I don't know if we've done any segment ever on the Forest Fen box.
Forest Fen box. I think
a lot of that just comes from like not being involved in the original Forest Fen one and knowing that so many people in the community were. I feel like inexperienced, I guess.
Yeah.
Feels weird to even start it. But
we're at a disadvantage there. I don't know.
Or maybe we're at an advantage because we aren't clouded by all of the previous Forest Fen information.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think Jon Collins-Black is using probably one of his Forest Fen solves for a starting point. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
It also just feels like not that many people are working on it either. But maybe that's just me not being involved in it, so I'm thinking that not that many people are.
Anyway,
but I mean, like in our mailbag, nobody I don't think has written in and been like that. I'm working on the Forest Fen.
There's a few.
My thoughts.
There's certainly a few people. So
okay,
yeah, I guess open call for Forest Fen ideas if you're willing to share some ideas about Forest Fen. Or even mailbag if there's good discussions on the Forest Fen sections of mysterious writings or Calazars or Reddit that you've seen that you want to point out to us. But yeah, I think we're all pigeonholed a little bit at this point in our own boxes. Pokemon box for Bryn, Passive Future for myself. Cody is
and Vari's ring for Cody,
and Vari's ring, and haikus,
and blankets, anything woven.
Yeah, we have a nice weaving mailbag for next week that I'm excited to get into. So hopefully you will also enjoy this. All right, thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Searching for clues, that's my key.